finished. Now they're talking about having the vaccines. So let's hope that there won't be any chas v'sholom bad side effects, terrible side effects, and it should be good. But let's learn the mimer. I want to finish today's chapter so we can make a farbrengen tomorrow, and then we'll be pretty much halfway finished through Kuntres U'Maayan. We have another about 12, 14 mimerim. So
today is Tes Kislev, right?
Yeah, today is the yahrzeit and the birthday yahrzeit of the Mittler Rebbe, Reb Dov Ber, the Alter Rebbe's older son. But today we say Tachton in Chabad. Tomorrow we don't, because it's the Yom HaGeula. He also was imprisoned, and the whole story about that. They ratted on him. They made up lies, actually, Moshe Shemra, that he was trying to build a kind of a palace to rebel against the Turks. And unfortunately, it came through our own brothers who were at the seat of the informing. And the Geula from jail was tomorrow, Yud Kislev. So that's why in Chabad it was considered a very special day. However, because he passed away the year after Yud Kislev, they didn't celebrate Yud Kislev the next year, and it seems like subsequent to that, there was always a damper on the Yud Kislev day where we don't find, such a great rash made about it like we do about Yud Kislev. I assume it's because of the first original year when they were sad still that their Rebbe passed away. But our Rebbe, the Rebbe, he reintroduced having probably yearly farbrengens on Yud Kislev from the mid 80s on. There were till the 80s there were sporadic farbrengens on Yud Kislev, but I think from the 80s pretty much every single Yud Kislev he made a farbrengen. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Let's go back down to the text now. Kuntres U'Maayan, page 177. The Kitzer, on the bottom of the page. Tefillah mikasheres haneshama lelikus. What is the aspect of davening? Davening is about binding the neshama to godliness. Our neshama that comes into a body with all of the issues of the body and the world, the material world. Every morning that it davens, every day that it davens 3 times a day, that's the opportune time for it to reconnect itself to godliness. When is that tefillah experiencing this hiskashrus? When the tefillah is reminiscent of the inner true self that's usually concealed, and that inner self is true, is emes. So when you daven with emes, when you daven with truth, that's when there is the hiskashrus of the neshama. Understandably, if you don't daven with emes, you don't have that. Uvo, and that is why when you daven in such a manner, the davening comes bitzakas koil, with a strong voice, godul, umoreres ha'atzmos, and it arouses the essence of Hashem. So although in nature, a person might not be feeling well, and the doctors give up hope, and the doctors say this, and the authorities say this, on and on and on. That's all nature. And when it comes to l'mayla me'ateva, when it comes to pnimius, there's no rules and regulations. So if you connect through your davening to that aspect, there is good chance that there'll be, on some level, improvement. And if the person passes away or remains ill, then that's a sign, if you daven be'emes, it's a sign that for some reason the Eibishter wants it to be that way, which we don't understand why and we don't like. But there's soul issues, reincarnation, and the mission is finished, and many other issues that are associated with a person's passing, even though you might say, I davened with emes, and I cried my heart out, and I was sincere, and I didn't fake it, and I really meant it. And nevertheless, the person is ill, or God forbid, passes on. And the answer to that is, Tamim tiyam asher melkecha. The Rebbe answered this to many people who wrote to him about these issues. Tamim, which means sincere, Tia shall you be im Hashem melkecha. It's a pasuk in the Torah, meaning, don't play God, in simple English. Don't play God. Be a tamim. Be naive when it comes to this area. Don't try to outsmart Hashem. Sometimes we're going to outsmart Hashem. I'm going to give tzedakah this amount because I want this amount back, and Hashem says I'll pay you back tenfold. Therefore, I need to fill my bank account this amount. I'm going to give this amount. That's playing games. That's playing games. Just give the tzedakah from the emes of your heart, and Hashem will do what He needs with it. He knows where to deposit it. They tell the story of Rabbi, not Pelis, I forget his name, a chassid who, the early 50s, he came to the Rebbe, I think 1950 or 51, and he was a contractor, and he did very well in Eretz Yisrael. He came from, I think, Russia to Eretz Yisrael. And the Rebbe told, at the large Farbrengens, the Rebbe would offer people to give tzedakah for different institution projects that he ran, that he had, and they can write their mother's name and their name for Shleiman, etc., etc. So he did that, and many times people would enclose, they would write down like a pledge what they're giving. Sometimes they'd even put in a check, whatever. So he put down an amount, and the Rebbe happened to notice it, and he told him, I want you to give four times the amount. And to begin with, he gave a lot of money. He gave a lot, it was a big donation. And the Rebbe told him 4 times the amount. So he said to himself, wait a minute, if I give 4 times the amount, I'm cleaned out. My bank account is cleaned out. But the Rebbe said, so he did it. He did it. He gave away all of his money that he had in the bank at the time to the Rebbe, because the Rebbe said he should do 4 times the amount. On his way home, he met someone on the ship. This was before planes. He met someone on the ship who was a businessman, and they made a deal, and with diamonds. I think it was in a diamond in Belgium. It's a whole story. It's online. I don't remember all the details. And basically, he made like the amount, the 4 times the amount that he gave to the Rebbe, and more, much more. And he remained a wealthy man. So, when the Eibusha says to us to do what we need to do, to act with emes, act with emes. And if you believe in a tzaddik, and the tzaddik tells you to give more, to do more, don't ask questions, just listen, and it'll be good for you, your kids, your grandkids, your family. Okay, let's continue. Yisrael mekabel braten apnimius. This was a response that the Rashab said, why is it that a Yid can't say, that Yidden can't say, we'll be like the Goyim, we'll accept the dregs, give us some dregs, but the dregs are lots and lots of money, lots of wealth, lots of materialism. We'll take that. Says the Rashab, sorry, it won't work for you. It works for a non-Jew, but it doesn't work for you. Why? Because Yisrael mekabel braten apnimius. By nature, a Jew receives truly only from pnimius. If it's not from pnimius, it's not yours. The story with the Rothschild, who the king says that he's loyal to him, and the servant and the ministers say he's your enemy and he's lying to you. Just ask him how much money he has. He asks him, he says he has a 200 ruble, 300 ruble. He goes and he checks in the account, the king does, and he sees he has 1,000 rubles. He comes back and he says, I see that all these years you Taka were my enemy, you were a faker, you were a liar, and you don't mean my best. You're not loyal. And the ministers are right. For that I'm putting you in jail. So he says, Your Honor, before you put me in jail, let me tell you something. All I have is 200-300 rubles, because that's what I gave to tzedakah. The amount I have in the bank is not mine. And the proof is that you just took it away. So in other words, what we have is Torah mitzvahs and mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim. That goes with us. Okay, that's why sometimes you see someone, you hear stories about someone who leaves a will. In the will they say, put my tzedakah receipts in the coffin when I'm buried, or when I'm buried. Such ideas, In other words, this is mine. This you can't take away from me, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said I should do the mitzvah, and I did the mitzvah. And why do I say this? Because the Rebbe Rashab says here that Yidden are mekabel from the Pnimius. Pnimius is a Jew. A Jew owns Pnimius. Chitzonius is not ours. So even if you have Chitzonius, you should know it's not you, it's not yours. Let's continue. The Gam Elu, Shadar, what?
when you said chitzonius, when you're talking about now about chitzonius, right?
Yeah.
Last week when we were talking about the klippas,
yes,
right? That you said that there could be a klippa that's here and in Shemayim, right? There's two. The klippa is not necessarily just a chitzonius thing, right? It's also klippa for a spiritual thing as well, right?
Of course.
Right. So I'm saying chitzonius in this, what the Rebbe is saying now about chitzonius, he's only talking about chitzonius that's something in this. He's not talking about anything klippas or anything in the next.
Not in this at this moment. The word I think this is what you're asking. The word chitzonius is interchangeable. Sometimes we use it for the klippas, and sometimes we refer to superficiality and materialism of man. Okay? Good.
Okay.
It was a good question, Yoim. Really, it was good that you pointed that out. So the Rebbe and the Rashab said, and even those that are making it well, and they're Jews, but they're not following Torah. Aleph, shocher. It should be socher. It's a reward. In other words, Hashem gives them what says in Pirkei Avos. Hashem gives them the reward here, and their principles in Olam Haba, and it ain't a good principle because they didn't do tshuva. They're Shoyim. So take your brownie points here, live it up, and when you get there, you're going to have to really, put the time in, as they say. Beis, Shefa Klippis. It's the bounty bestowed to the Klippis. Hinelib Soif Nifsak. At the end, it will be terminated. Being that the energy given to Klippis is also chitzonius, as we just mentioned earlier, so if a Jew has that temporarily, and he can have that, but it will be nifsak, it will be interrupted, it won't last. So it's not eternal. Let's continue now, 179, Pei de Gimel. It says in Yecheskel, what rises upon your spirit, upon your mind, says Rashi, remember there's an expression that we say, it's from this pasuk in Yecheskel. Shall not come to pass, asher atem oimrim niya kagoyim. What won't come to pass? That you say, we shall be like the nations, we shall cast off his yoke from our shoulders since he has rejected us. That's what Rashi says in Hebrew. Hashem's oil, his yoke has been casted from our shoulders since we sent him away. It's similar to the families of the lands who serve wood and stone. Idolatry, Ani Nom Hashem Elokim. So say I swear, Ani, I swear, says Hashem Elokim, God our God. Im lei b'yad chazok of zayin tu, if not with a strong hand and an outstretched arm, uvechema shvucha, and with and pouring wrath, to Hashem will chas v'sholom annihilate. Emlech aleim, I will rule over them. So in other words, it's no fun. Medrash Tanchum, but now he brings a Medrash, he said. What does the Medrash say? This was a pasuk in Yecheskel with Rashi's comments. Now a Medrash. It says in Medrash. When the Jews wanted to cast away the oath that Hashem made with us, during the time of Ezekiel, of Yecheskel, Maksiv Shom, what does it say? The elders came of the Yidden to search for God. They asked, a son of a Kohen who buys a Eved, Mahu, can that son who was purchased by as a slave, can he eat Truma? It said eat. If the Kohen decided, I don't want the servant, and he sells him to another Yisrael, he doesn't leave the possession of the first Kohen. Yes, he does. That's the halacha. You can sell a servant. So what's the question, Yonason? So if so, why is they allowed to eat truma? Truma is to someone who's really yours, who belongs to you, and that's it. Here we see you can sell the evet to someone else. So why is he allowed to eat the truma? Amar lahem, hein sheyotzim l'shus hakohen shus Yisrael. Amar lahem, what did he say? He says, leave the custody of the kohen for the Israelites. Hey, yes. He says yes. So they said to him, we Eden, Kfar Yotzana, we've left Mirshusay, God's domain, and come like all the Goyim. Amar lahem Yecheskel Yisrael. So Yecheskel said to the Yisrael, he quotes this verse from Yecheskel, right? In other words, if you're going to do that, you're going to get really punished, okay? Amar lahem kos manshli mochre b'reshusayu. So Amar lahem, so he said to them, as long as you didn't sell the eved, he's still in your reshus. V'atem lo yukartem badomim, and you Jews were not sold with money. Shenemar kichayim Hashem chinam nikartem. Aha, you were sold for free. So when is it a good sale? When it involves money. But if it doesn't involve money, you still belong to Hashem, to the owner. Hashem will sustain you today to be nation. He'll be your God. He spoke to you. Like he promised Abraham, and he will never regret from the promise that he made. So basically, Moshe, we have here this wonderful medrash that the Yidden were like chopping around and moving around and wanted to say, we're not in God's domain. And one of Cheskel said, sorry, he's still a part of the Shem, because it's not a real sale, because he sold you for free. When is the Eved, going back to the Marshal, when is the Eved out of the Reshus of the Kohen, which would not allow him to eat any Truma, if he was sold to a Yisrael with money? But if he wasn't sold for money, he always retains the domain of the Kohen, and therefore he's allowed to eat Truma. Next paragraph, this is what it means in Yecheskel. He ascends on the mind. In other words, Jews ascend on God's mind. I'm sorry. Wrong. The Jews want to be, they're thinking about how can we not be slaves to Hashem and be on our own like the Goyim. Look, how can we be like all the Goyim, and we'll receive our influence from the Klippus, like the Chitzayim, this other side, by nurturing from the Makif. So Hashem says, that will never be. It never will be. And Hashem says, I promise you, if I won't dominate over them with a hard hand, I won't let it happen. Because you already are mine. Top of next page, 181. The Shvuah. We made an oath. And you gave your word, and I made you swear that you belong to me. If you belong to me, as we say in Yiddish, gut nicht helfen. You ever hear that expression? The word in Yiddish, as a Russian Lithuanian would say, is gornisht. But around here, the Hungarians, the Polacks, they say, gurnisht. Gut nicht helfen. Nothing gonna help you. I know. I knew I'd get Yoni alerted to that one. So the good is helping. Shehein chelik Hashem shepocha b'hem. Why? Because we are a part of Hashem who chose us. V'heim bochru boy, and we chose him, Hashem. Yisbarich. V'areim shayochim l'pchinas apniyim izdavka. Yidden are associated with inwardness, pnimius. It is impossible for Yidden to accept their hashpah from chitzonius. They're wired differently. So if you're going to try to give them the hashpah that you give goyim, there's going to be a blowout. There's going to be an explosion. B'chol hagoyim, we don't take for the makiv like the goyim do. Ki mepchinis aptimis haydei kim Torah mitzvahs. Umitzad ho'ava aptimis the pchinis pnimis u'atzmus elisof. And from the perspective of God's deeper inner self of love to us, hu machrichem, He forces us. You hear this? Sheyekablu aleim el malchus yizbarich. Guys, I'm going to force you to do it. And this is interesting. We have free will, but in a sense, when we say we have free will to act. But as far as who we are, you don't have free will, right? Your son or your daughter doesn't have free will to decide who their parents are. In today's crazy cuckoo world, they think that they do. With all the gender issues and everything else, we have a right to decide whether we're a cat, a dog, a man or a woman, or both together. Oh, really? And the same, that's what he means here. Look what it says. Rashab writes it clear in the name of based on the Medrash and the Pasuk in Yecheskel. Machrichim she'ikablu aleim el malchus shemayim. At the end of the day, you'll be forced into accepting the yoke. In other words, you'll be forced, meaning either the good way or a harsh way. But reality is going to hit you. You're a Yid, so remember that. You can't escape being a Jew. It says in Medrash, though you are not my people, for you wish to separate from me at those times, I shall not be with you, meaning I shall not agree with you. For by force will you be my people. Inside Hebrew. I'll force you to be my people. This pasuk in Yecheskel, you won't get your ways. I will be your king with a harsh hand if need be. What does the Rashab say this Medrash teaches us? This is from the Medrash. How much Hashem loves us. He loves us so much that He's going to enforce Himself on us. And this Rebbe Rashab says is because the Yidden are pnimius, therefore they're in that ballpark, in that zone. So that from that perspective, in other words, it's coming from genuine love. Yeah, but I'm just thinking as I'm saying these words and teaching it, it's like, tell it to the people today. Genuine love, you hate me. You don't want to let me do what I want to do. Anyway. Says the Rebbe, sometimes it takes difficult ways and things that, God forbid, are done to force them to take the mitzvahs. Rischa means anger. So it means, look at the Gemara, if only for such anger, who will provide that this anger come upon us with pouring wrath shall I rule over you, that He should redeem us against our will and rule over us. So in other words, the Gemara is saying in Sanhedrin that the wrath of Hashem will express itself in a way that He'll rule over us. Rahman l'tzlan ulufarkinon. Let Hashem be furious and redeem us. So when you cry out to Hashem with a deep inner love, who de la hosa moti aksa di Yisrael. This is an expression. What does it mean? The inward says. What does the inward mean? Meaning the Pneumius says it arouses the inwardness and the essence when the afflictions of Israel do reach. In other words, sometimes the tzaras that Hashem brings upon us because He's forcing us to cooperate touches our Pneumius, and our Pneumius is aroused to tshuva. So this is an interesting piece over here, which sounds very Musardik, in a way it is Musardik, but we need to hear it. Let's see how the Rashab sums it all up. Hayoytze Mikola now, what we understand from all of the above, because this is Medrashim. The Rebbe brought Medrashim. He wasn't really, yes, Moshe.
Just a quick question. When the Rebbe now, when the Rashab is going to be concluding everything now, well, he's concluding not just this, he's basically including this last series of Maimarim, Nachon? Right?
No. I mean, he's concluding the chapter where he quoted mostly Psukim and Medrashim.
Okay. I'm asking because I was under the impression that if we go the table of contents. If we go to the table of contents, it says that we've been learning Maimarim 5 through 11. Right, is like they're grouped together.
Right, but that's not from the Rashab. That's the organizer of the book. Put it together, breaking it up, saying that basically it speaks about one theme.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Hayoytze Mikola now. What do we walk away with from everything we learned in today's chapter, which is really the pasuk in Yecheskel and Medrashim? We didn't really learn, the Rashab's chidushim on it. You know what I'm saying? So now he says, Hayoytze Mikola now. What we have from all this, the Mashi is I'm sorry. Maybe you are right, because he is referring now back to the verse that he began with in chapter 5, which was the pasuk in Devarim. So maybe it could be he is summing up these 6, 7 Maimarim. Let's see what he says, and then we could understand better, okay? Hayoytze Mikola now, when a person blesses himself in his heart, saying, I'll have peace, even if I'll do an act that's of a sin, I'll be blessed. That's coming from the enticements and persuasions of the Yetzer Hara. Going back to what he began, the whole Maimer of Kuntres U'Maayan with Shtus, where he covers the Yetzer Hara, covers up the truth. Umateu, right? Remember Shtus from the term Hator, to go astray. He inclines you miderech ha'emes, from the way of truth. Umi ho'ish hechofetz chayim, top of 183. Someone who wants to have life, he has to not follow the dictates of his heart, but he has to have control over his heart. And let him not be enticed by the falsehoods of the Yetzer Hara. And let him understand well darkly the ways, sly ways of the Yetzer Hara, who plays these games with man. When you realize that the Yetzer Hara by nature is a deceptive force, then you'll go in your right path, and you will not deviate to the right or the left, through the enticement of the Yetzer Hara, and you won't listen to him. Because all of the words of the Yetzer Hara, their foundation is lies. So why is Hashem allowing him to try to trick you and lie to you and all that? To test you. So in your heart, you should understand this truth, what's happening. And go assured in the way of Torah mitzvahs. Then you'll have real life in spiritual matters and physical matters. Kitzer. Those that say we should be like all the goyim to receive from the chitzonis hamakiv, nenoshim, they're punished, they will be punished, biyot chazaka, with an outstretched hand, bichdei sheyachziru b'tshuva. Even that is for the purpose of tshuva, but they will receive punishment. Umitzado ava pnimius, but from the perspective of the inner love that Hashem has, machrichem oisim al zeh gam b'fanim koshim. Hashem forces them, even through difficult ways, to do tshuva. Lirsach Rachman l'Islam v'in firka. But he redeems us. Let Hashem be furious with us, but redeem us. Okay, so in other words, you're giving me a punishment, but please, take me out of the trouble at the end. Understand the enticement of the Yetzer Hara, v'yizor b'kiyam Torah mitzvahs, be careful Torah mitzvahs, v'yichye b'chaim ruchtim v'gashmiyim. So, Moshe, is this a summary? It is, in a way it is, but in a way it really isn't. I mean, we learned so many details in 7 Maimurim with pages and pages of details of Pnimis, Chitzonis, and Makiv, so that's why to say that it's a real summary, it's not a real summary. It's kind of a pep talk and a bottom line talk that the Rashab says that, going in your own way, you won't be able to escape. So you might as well go the Chatchila in the right way. But when he mentions here the pitui of the Yetzer Hara, I was thinking, the enticement of the Yetzer Hara, and negotiating is an act, right? The art of negotiating, right? I don't know how you feel, but I feel there are certain people and certain issues, there's no negotiation that's going to help, because it's really all baloney. It's a bluff. It's not true. It's a way to try to get their plot and plan for you to accept initially, and then later on to suck you in and do what they want, or what he wants, what she wants. So sometimes the best negotiating is avoidance. Avoidance. What do I mean by avoidance? There's nothing to come to the table about, because, and this is always a balance. Do we, if you don't come to the table, you're arrogant. If you do come to the table and you say your position, they say you're also arrogant. So what should you do? So they say, negotiate and compromise. Okay, that's if both truly will make a compromise, but not if one will, at the end, get their way, because they will agree to one thing and then behind your back do other things that are contrary to what they agreed to, and they'll get their way because something will happen and they'll say, I didn't do it. Well, what do you want from me? It came from others. And really, they were working the whole time with the others and the other situation to manipulate you and get what they want. So you have to sometimes just cut off and say, I don't want to have any part of you. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. And I don't know. I think many times you walk away healthier and happier. On one hand, it's very hard to say goodbye, to cut off. And I don't mean cut off not to say hello and be a mensch, but sometimes you just, people are incapable of changing or don't want to change, and it's not something that's good for you and in your life, and you need to just accept that and not feel that you could change the other person. So it's not an easy parsha. I'm sure everyone has had issues in their lives how to deal with this, but I'm saying this because the what you hear in the community for sure, rabbonim and bezdins and rabbis and mashpiyim and mashgichim, and is like find a way to make it work, and many times, I don't know if most times that's true, but there are times when that's not the case. You have to stand back and say, I can't get involved. And and that's sometimes the way you'll get the best respect. I mean, I've seen this over and over. When you jump in and you start like boo, ba, he, be, she, you end up schmutzig. The Alter Rebbe says it in chapter 28 in Tanya. Avi, you know what the Alter Rebbe says? Kol ha-mesavol imenuvo misnabel gam kein. Whoever wrangles with a disgusting one will become themselves disgusting and dirty, even if they win the wrestling match. So remember that. So sometimes the best thing is to walk away. That's it.
Rebbe.
Yes.
Rebbe.
Yes.
The question. So on this last nikuda that you're talking about, I mean, it's easier said than done, especially when it's removed from you. But let's say if it's a mother or a father or a shviger or a shver, where you do have some kind of culpability and responsibility to, as a kibbut avim, and if they're toxic and all that, I mean, you got to stay away. But on the other hand, the chiyuv of kibbut avim never really goes away. Am I right?
You are right. And the Gemara already says that I think it was the mother of Rebbe who came down and slapped him in front of his Talmidim or something, or cursed him out. She wasn't mentally well. So what you said, Avi, is the emes. That's the truth. What I was saying is that we're not strong sometimes. We don't have that koyach. And at least temporarily, until you build up that koyach, maybe just avoidance and formality is the best recipe at the time. We have to separate what needs to be done to help a person lishma and the emotions associated with it, because that's when we get into the issue. Okay, so we can have a disagreement with a parent. Okay, it's just part of life, and it could be a serious disagreement. But we're not allowed to. I just wrote about this yesterday, writing about what happened in Chabad in 2013 with Kol of the Shofar Katz, which we've discussed before. I think you've heard me mention it. The self-improvement, and basically it was giving adult men and students, it was giving them the okay to badmouth, particularly their fathers, in public. Public meaning in their setting of their group therapy. And besides the Chabad community, the leaders said this was wrong, and they had a meeting with 2,000 people on December 24th, night of 24th, 2013. Rabbi David Cohen of Flatbush, which Yoni I think knows, he's a big Pesach, so he ruled that it's forbidden, and he wasn't a Chabad person. He's a Litvak in fact. This is not something that you do in public. You have an issue with your father, with your mother. You can have that issue. You have to work it out, or not work it out, but private. We don't bring these things into public. So I say that to you. I mean the same thing. With family, it's much harder. You're 100% right. It's. I mean, who doesn't have family issues, extended family issues. Say someone becomes a Baal Tshuva and has, brothers and sisters who marry out, and issues. Everyone has the issues. I mean, all kinds of issues. Do you go to their home? Do you not go to their home? Do they go to their weddings? I mean, sensitive issues. And if we can stand back and consult with proper rabbonim, mashpiyim, friends, teachers, who are level-headed, we'll find a solution. I told you. I was invited to a very good friend's son's wedding out in Manhattan by the over there, not Fort McHenry. No, that's in Baltimore. Forget what it's called. Beautiful scenery, gorgeous. The tip of Manhattan. And
South Street.
what is it? No, all the way up. South Street is down. No, all the way by the New Jersey border, but all the way by Washington Heights, further than Washington Heights, where you can't go anymore. You fall into the river. So please speak over there. So please speak over there, please. So I found out, it's gonna be a woman rabbi who's doing the ceremony. So I had a question. What do I do? It's my good friend, and he's frum, and he knows, but emotions are emotions. His son is marrying to a Jewish girl. He's happy that he's marrying a Jewish girl. You understand where he's coming from? And I spoke to him, and I said, I'm just uncomfortable. I should look at me. Look at me. I'm going to a wedding with my wife. You don't know. With a sheitel, you don't know. She is religious. She isn't religious. But me, you can't fake it. Okay? I'm not taking my yarmulke off. This is who I am. My beard. So I asked the shaila of a Rav who's very, intelligent, very smart, sharp. And he said, in this case, because of shalom bias for my friend, I should go, sit in the back, be not as conspicuous as possible. And that's it. And I did. I sat in the back. They did their chuppah, which, and I left, but it was a very, very hard decision. So sometimes it's not a parent and it's not a family member, but it's a good friend. You know what I'm saying? A good friend who you're being makarev and you're learning with, and you know what I'm saying? And it was so interesting because the Chabad shliach another shliach that he deals with, he exempted from coming, but me, he wanted to come. And that's what I said to the rabbi. It seems like, I mean more to him than, and it's true, because I brought him into Yiddishkeit and I developed him and worked with him. I. You know what I'm saying? I was his contact to Frumkeit, so there's certain deeper feelings. So his appreciation is on a different level. But it was a very difficult situation. And, yeah.
I'll tell you. It's late, but I'll tell you a short story.
Very short, because I got to get going. I have another class. Yes.
When my father got married for the third time, which she's now currently married to.
Yeah.
Okay, so she had on the same day as they got married, they got a 2-for-1 deal. Rabbi Janice Friedman, she did the gerus and the wedding on the same day.
Okay.
So she got to. And the picture was that the shiksa was holding a Sefer Torah in front of the Aron Kodesh. But the funny part, the ironic part was the picture had her in back. She was wearing all black. And the sign of the Aron Kodesh says, Da lefi mi ata omed.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, Chevra, sei gesund, have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. So we're bringing tomorrow, okay? Bring your l'chaim, a little wine to say l'chaim. We'll have a fabrengen. Take care. Bye-bye. Good day.